Howdy folks, I'm Mystified Mustard White, meanderingly moseying through messy mess halls.
I'm Amber.
And here are more messy mess halls for us to meander through, but no, it's not mess halls, it's Reddit stories. And folks, if this is your first time viewing or you're a new subscriber, then welcome. This is a show where we teach you how to be a terrible parent for the next 20 minutes.
I mean, you could take that from our show, but that's not what we intend to teach.
Let's get started. All right, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Trying to Bribe My Daughter? Am I the jerk for trying to bribe my daughter to restore our relationship? I have 3 kids. When my oldest was 17, my husband and I went to a family event for which we would come back by around 10:30. I left my oldest daughter and her younger siblings, a 15-year-old female and a 14-year-old male, with her. It was supposed to be for around 4 hours in total, and during that time, it didn't get dark until around 10 p.m., so I was fine with leaving them there. Well, when I came back, the house was trashed and juice was everywhere, and there were bottles and snacks everywhere, and a couple of broken glasses and vases. I immediately got furious and asked who did this. Both of my youngest kids said that it was my oldest. They said that she brought her friends over, and they told her not to. My oldest completely denied it. Well, my oldest was always well-behaved and smart and obedient until then, but I didn't think that either of my 2 youngest would do this. Well, my oldest said that she went to sleep early because she was tired and didn't throw the party, and that was suspicious to me. I found her handbag in the living room, and I figured that it was more than enough evidence. So we didn't let her go to senior prom, and we grounded her for 4 months along with her losing her phone. We also didn't let her stay home alone again until she turned 18. All this time, she swore that she never did it. After she turned 18, she went to university and was really mad that I falsely punished her and rarely talked to me. Fast forward to now, it's been a year and a half since the party. And one day I overheard my second daughter, who's now 16, tell about how she and her brother framed the entire thing by throwing juice, breaking vases, and making it look like a party happened. I was horrified and stunned. I talked to them that evening, and they admitted to everything that they had apparently planned this for weeks. They did it because they were jealous, as my oldest was very popular and had a lot of friends and a good social life. I immediately called my oldest and I apologized for everything, and she responded with "It took you a year and a half." I offered to buy her a new MacBook Pro that she had always wanted and give her $5,000 as an apology gift. She got mad and said that she couldn't believe that I was bribing her. My husband also said that it was inappropriate just to offer her stuff. I get that it's not perfect, but I'm trying to make it up to her for everything. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yeah, I think OP is a major jerk here. I mean, first of all, not trusting the oldest daughter and assuming that seeing her purse downstairs was like evidence that she threw a party. Like, I mean, I just leave my purse randomly in the living room sometimes. It doesn't mean I was throwing a party. It's very, very strange to be like, this is concrete evidence. But
Yeah.
lack of evidence aside, and her seeming willingness to trust the youngest 2 unquestioningly, the punishment didn't even fit the crime.
Yeah.
You know, like asking the oldest to like clean up the mess, maybe ground her for a week or something like that. But taking away her senior prom, grounding her, taking away her phone, like that is overly punitive for a child who has never done anything wrong before.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest issue I have here. This wasn't like a long string of like horrible things that the daughter had done, right? So even if she had thrown a party, which is a pretty typical thing for a 17-year-old to do, why would it deserve this kind of level of behavior? Unless, of course, they were basically being like, well, because you're lying about not throwing the party, we're going to punish you more severely, right? And I mean, I think that as a parent, you kind of have to have an open mind about whether or not a child has really done something, right? And again, like you said, a purse isn't a whole lot of evidence, right? That isn't like, oh, we have fingerprints of your hands on these glasses and stuff like that, right?
Well, and Opie didn't even bother to try and like find out which friends were at the party and like check with their parents.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like if you have 2 kids who are saying, oh, she did this, and one who's saying, no, I didn't, like if you start asking for names, you're going to get to the bottom of the truth very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, if all she had to do was say, well, which friends of hers were there?
Yeah, and I'm going to call their parents, and then hopefully the youngest two would just immediately confess, but even if they didn't, the parents would probably very quickly be like, yeah, no, my daughter was home all night.
Yeah. What do you think about the dad's role in all this?
I mean, if he's been supporting Opie and everything, then he is equally in the wrong, you know? And I mean, I feel like he's being a coward here too, by like, if he had a different opinion, he should have expressed it and should have fought Opie on the punishment.
Yeah.
I feel like he's also in the wrong.
What do you think of the bribe?
I mean, I think Opie is not recognizing the harm that she has caused and is trying to basically circumvent it with money.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if you have a, 18-year-old who is turning her nose up at $5,000 and being like, I can't believe you're trying to bribe me, like, that shows you really messed up. And that the daughter shows how deep the wound is, and OP can't just bribe her way out of this one. She needs to work on herself and work on her relationship, and maybe it will be fixable and maybe it won't be. But you can't just like easy mode your way with $5,000.
Yeah. And the kind of last question I want is, what do you think of the two children, the siblings?
I mean, I want to know, like, are they going to face the same consequences? And it sounds like from the comments they're not, because the mom's like, oh, well, we need to do restorative justice in our house.
Yeah.
And like, where was this when your oldest daughter supposedly threw this party?
Yeah.
Like, because objectively, framing your sister for a crime she didn't do to get all her privileges taken away is a much bigger offense than throwing a party.
Oh, I would absolutely agree. That's peanuts compared to that, right? I think the siblings, they deeply need therapy. I think that OP and the rest of the family should enroll in family therapy. I think the individual siblings, they need individual therapy. I think the mom needs to sit down and talk to the daughter and find out what she can do to make it up to her. Right?
If anything, I mean.
If anything, right?
And if the daughter's like, I don't want to have a relationship with someone who doesn't trust me and who favors my younger siblings, because it seems like there's some pretty obvious favoritism going on there, then, OP just needs to accept it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think OP can apologize. I think that OP can try to make this up to their daughter. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that OP is trying to take shortcuts. Like, the hard work is going to be rebuilding that trust between her and her daughter. You can't do that with a new MacBook and $5,000.
No.
And I think that this is going to be a long, hard road. And I think hopefully OP can go into therapy, talk this over, and end up, coming out of it a better person, right? And I mean, I do think that restorative justice, whatever they have in mind for that, is a good idea, but I think they should have applied that to their daughter at the beginning, kind of like what you said. A restorative justice in that particular case would have been making her clean up the mess and then maybe doing extra chores around the house or something like that, and potentially grounding her for a couple of weeks, right? Missing out on a prom when she's when this means a lot to her, that's a really terrible thing to do to a kid.
Well, and like, it shows like the difference, like when OP is the one affected, then like it's full scorched earth. But when it's her daughter who's affected, well, no, we can't react harshly, we can't react punitively. It shows you just how self-centered OP is.
Yeah. So therapy, lots and lots of therapy. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And folks, we're not going to get too far into the comments, but Amber wants to just kind of give us a quick summary of OP's comments here.
Yeah, so the basic gist was the main thing people were asking OP is like, what's your consequence for the younger two? And she's just like, oh, well, are they going to have the same punishment? And she's like, oh, well, they're grounded.
Yeah, grounded.
And that's it.
They don't even plan on going to prom anyway, so they're not going to get their prom privileges taken away. But, like, it just does not feel like a balanced punishment.
No. To be fair, like, she definitely went way overboard with the oldest daughter, so I'm not saying that she needs to, like, go doubly overboard, but there's something deeply concerning about children who are willing to sabotage their sibling just because a sibling is more popular. Because like, my sister was more popular than me, and it was frustrating at times, but like, I never sabotaged her. I never tried to frame her for things to make her less popular.
Yeah. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Letting My Neighbor's Kid Ruin My Lawn in the Name of Imagination? I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood with your standard backyard, some grass, and a few old trees, a weathered shed, Nothing fancy, but I try to keep it tidy. I'm on polite but not close terms with most neighbors. We wave, sometimes chat about the weather, and that's about that. Well, there's a family 2 doors down and a boy who's maybe 9 or 10. Lately, he's gone full pirate mode. I mean, fully committed. Eye patch, cardboard sword, yelling, "Ye be cursed at squirrels." Honestly, it's pretty wholesome. At first. Well, then I started noticing small holes in my yard, just little ones near the fence. I assumed that it was raccoons, but then the holes got bigger. One morning I went out and I found the ground behind my shed completely torn up, with clumps of grass tossed around and a map pinned to the tree with a stick. Eventually, I caught him out there mid-dig. I asked him what he was doing, and he straight up said, "I'm hiding my treasure. No one must know. This is a perfect hiding spot." I told him calmly that, "Hey, this is my yard, you can't dig here." And he got a little huffy but ran off. I figured that was the end of that. Well, no. The next day, there's a new hole, a bigger one, and a tin lunchbox half buried behind the shed. I dig it up, and it's full of Pokemon cards, fake jewels, tiny coins, and a few crumpled $5 bills. I bring it to his mom and explain what's going on, and she immediately gets defensive. No apology, just a heavy sigh and say, "Well, he's using his imagination. I think that it's sweet." I told her that I don't mind the creativity, just not in my yard. She rolled her eyes and said, "Can you just let him have this? It's not like your grass is that nice anyways." Well, this one actually stunned me. I said, as politely as possible, that I don't want holes being dug on my property by someone else's kid, and then I handed the box over to her and I left. Well, that night, she sends a long text telling me that I humiliated her son, crushed his imagination, and created an environment where children can't feel safe being children. She said that he cried for over an hour and now thinks that I'm the villain in his story. Her words. I didn't reply. I get it, he's a kid. I didn't yell, I didn't shame him, and I even gave him his stuff back. But I'm not thrilled about my yard being turned into a sandbox and getting insulted for not being okay with it. So, am I the jerk for drawing a line and not entertaining a pirate storyline that involved my yard getting wrecked? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. He can have his imagination in his own yard. If the mom doesn't want her yard getting dug up, then she needs to respect that other people won't want that as well.
Yeah.
And it's a safety hazard. Like, my siblings and I would sometimes dig in our yard as kids. And you know what happened? We were dancing in the yard and I sprained my ankle. Like, holes in yards, especially ones you don't expect or don't know about, are safety hazards.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem I have here, and it's a safety thing. And what happens if the kid trips and falls in OP's yard, right? Because of a hole that the kid dug. Is the parent going to sue OP, right? And given the way she's kind of acting here, I wouldn't be surprised if she was a little bit litigious.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is OP wrong for wanting their yard respected? I can't say that they are. I mean, certainly, I think kids should be allowed to be kids. And I think, things are, maybe the kid can find a sandbox or, some other place that's more appropriate for this. But I can understand why they wouldn't want their yard turned into a sand pit.
Well, that's the thing, exactly. And, is he going to have treasure hunts in OP's yard or any number of things? It's just, this is not his land to be doing with. And like you said, the mom could buy a sandbox if she doesn't want the yard getting torn up, or maybe there's a playground nearby that has a sandbox, or, there are ways he could do this without, and still exercise his imagination without messing up OP's yard.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sympathetic. A precocious little kid wants to have fun and explore and do all these kinds of things, but there's certainly bounds to that as well, and they need to understand and learn how to respect other people's properties too, while playing is great and all.
Well, we tried to hide a time capsule when I was a kid, and we just buried it in one of our yards. It was me and some friends, and that's the thing, is you have to put it in your own yard. That's the important thing that mom needs to be reinforcing, is it's fine to hide things, but you can't hide it in other people's yards. And how do you trust OP not to steal your treasure? She could just frame it like that, well, OP could have taken your treasure. You need to put this somewhere where all the neighbors can't get your treasure.
Yeah. And I mean, that's, I think, a good point too. Like, OP could have been a lot worse in this situation. He could have just taken the treasure.
I mean, there were Pokemon cards in that. Pretty tempting.
I would say the $15 is probably more tempting.
You don't know what Pokemon cards they are. They could be worth a fortune.
They could be. They could be. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And someone you don't know, 70 says, not the jerk. His mom needs to teach him to respect others' property. You don't get to do whatever you want as some kid in the name of using your imagination. Maybe he should use his imagination to pretend that he buried his treasure in your yard while actually leaving it intact. I think that would be a more constructive use of it. His mom is on the hook for teaching her kid how to channel his creativity impulses into productive endeavors, not destructive ones. When he grows up, unable to properly establish relationships, he'll realize that his problems stem from the fact that he was never taught to respect others. When that time comes, he'll see that his mom is the actual villain in his story.
Well, and most of the stuff you buried anyway would get ruined because, like, if the lunchbox isn't totally airtight and watertight, like not airtight, but watertight, then, Pokemon cards, paper money, like, those aren't going to hold up over time.
And Few Horror 1019 says, yeah, next time tell her that you'll use your imagination with an excavator in her lawn. And Throw Raw Non Sequitur says, OP, rawr, I'm a dinosaur, see? Rawr, stomps on flowers. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Will I be a jerk if I don't agree with my husband's punishment for his daughter and try to fight it? So I have a stepdaughter, a 17-year-old female. So recently she threw a party in her house while we were outside. It was a pretty big party and quite a lot of stuff was damaged. When my husband and I returned, we were furious. I suggested grounding her and making her pay back for any damages, but my husband had another idea. He also planned to make her pay back for the stuff, but he also included another punishment. We live in a large plot of rural land, about 12 acres, which is largely wooded or farmland. There's a shed about an acre away from the main house. My husband wants to make her live in this shed for a whole week. She won't be allowed into the house unless necessary, and he plans to give her some food so that she can prepare it on her own. Basically, she'll be living on her own. I was against this for a few reasons. I wasn't sure if this was even legal. I also don't think that's even safe for her. The shed is in a place full of trees, so it's not visible to us. I'm not comfortable with her staying in the woods alone, even if it's on our property. Sometimes deers and other wild animals enter our property too. I told my husband this, and he says that I shouldn't be deciding how to parent his daughter. My mother also told me that I shouldn't interfere with his decisions. I usually try not to, but this feels too much for me. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. What he's proposing is child abuse. I mean, it is dangerous. Like, I'm assuming this is a shed, like a box of wood, so there's no proper sanitation, no electricity or heat or anything like that, no running water. That is not okay. Like, those are kind of the basic necessities you need to be able to provide your child from. And I would go as far as to say that if he insists on going through with this punishment, the responsible thing to do would be to call CPS.
I think that this is a little bit of an extreme punishment, right? Now, there was a story that we read a long time ago from here. Basically, there was a daughter who made fun of a homeless person or something like that. They like either ruined a sandwich or stole money from them, or I don't remember what it was exactly, but they did something to a homeless person and their mother found out about it. And the way they punished her is they forced her to live in a tent in the yard for like a day or a week.
It was overnight.
It was overnight. And after that, she was really upset and very apologetic and whatnot. And that one overnight might have been a really suitable punishment for that particular case because, one, it's in the front yard, it's visible, it's not like she's in immediate danger, right? And two, it's a short period of time. Lots of people go camping in tents and stuff like that.
I mean, we camped in tents in our yards as kids.
Yeah. Where I think this punishment differs in a lot of fundamental ways, and I wouldn't classify that tent punishment as abuse in that
Well, I
particular
think
case.
the important thing too was it was a temperate night, and like it wasn't like the daughter was like would have been banned from using the bathroom or anything like that.
Yeah, so this punishment differs in a lot of striking ways, right? One, it's a shed, and it doesn't sound like it's a finished building, right? It sounds like it's probably just a shed, no heat, no, insulation, probably just kind of a place that is mostly to the elements, right? Like she's not going to have any kind of real protection from the elements. And that concerns me a lot. The fact that this probably doesn't have any running water, which means that she's not going to be able to wash her hands.
Yeah.
She's not going to be able to wash and prepare food properly.
Yeah, I mean, when she has to go to the bathroom, there's no bathroom spot for her.
Yeah. So that concerns me a lot. I mean, there have been a lot of people through history that have died from dysentery because they didn't have proper sanitization or soap and water to clean their food, to clean their hands before preparing food. And she's been living in a environment where she hasn't had to do that, right? So it's going to put her at a much higher risk of contracting a disease like that. And I think that this is also an acre away. It's not like it's in the front yard. It's not visible from the street or anything like that. It's obscured. So what could happen is a wild animal could attack her while she's in the shed. Another human could attack her while she's in the shed.
Oh, and also, it's in the comments, she mentions that the dad plans to take away her phone so she can't throw a party. So she's also without any way to contact help.
Yeah. And that's an acre away. That's a bit of a distance from being able to get any help at all. Now, this is where I think it really differs. And I think that this would be classified as child abuse. This is neglect. This is putting a child into a dangerous situation. It isn't like she's camping. Lots of people go camping, right? This is, I think, more punitive and potentially more dangerous, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really suit the crime either. Like, I mean, I think OP's proposal that she be grounded and then have to repay the money makes perfect sense. Whereas this just seems like punitive for the sake of it. Like, there's no real life lesson here other than do what I say or you live in the shed.
Yeah. And I think that it's OP's responsibility as a adult living in that house to protect any child that's under that roof. And that includes his daughter. So this is a matter of safety. This is a matter of well-being and child abuse and neglect. And if OP doesn't fight for this, then they are complicit in the abuse. So I think that OP is not wrong, and I think that everyone else needs to not have absurd punishments like this. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she allegedly has a joke.
What flower did the child get their mom for Mother's Day?
Oh, I can tell you exactly what kind of flower they got their mom for Mother's Day. They went to a flower shop, so this starts off, pretty early on in the day. So the kid wakes up, they go get dressed and everything like that, and they walk out of the house, and their mother is, of course, doing all the motherly type of things here, like she is crocheting a doily. I don't know, what do moms do, right? And so the kids
earn a master's degree, apparently,
and earn master's degrees, right? And so the kids walking, to the flower shop. They stop. They see some gum on the street. They contemplate whether or not they should chew this gum. It's a very small child. The parent's not being very actually a good parent in this particular case, because it's like a 7-year-old. They're contemplating the gum, but they use their better judgment and don't chew the gum that's on the street. And they continue on. They walk to the flower shop, and the flower shop is surprisingly open, and they go in there, and it's a little shop, and there are some horrible things in this shop. And they see a plant that looks like a Venus flytrap almost, but has teeth and stuff like that. And so they say, this is the plant for me, because it's a little kid. Little kids like cool man-eating plants. And so they take the plant back to home and they give it to their mom. Unfortunately, the plant is very hungry, And so,
Feed me, Seymour, feed me.
and so they had to supply some parts here and there. Um, Fortunately, on the way back from the flower shop, they find some questionable, roadkill, and the plant is very happy with that, and the mom not so happy. Mom very disappointed. She tried to smell the plant and got her nose taken off almost, and that was a pretty horrifying situation. So that's the kind of plant that a mother gets for Mother's Day.
A mum.
A mum? That's not the same story that I told.
No, it's not. Today is Mother's Day.
Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day to all the
happy
mothers
Mother's
out there.
Day. Oh, and the reference about mom earning a master's degree. My mom got her master's degree yesterday. So
Yes, she did. So congratulations to Jules. And folks, I hope you have a really great Mother's Day and a happy one at that too. And I have Earl Grey. Everyone's like, will Brian just get on with the story here? All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy special Sunday, folks. And you know what makes it special? You do, and Amber does too.
And Brian does too.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And pretty please, have it on bad parenting decisions.
If you're going to have consequences for your child's actions, make sure that they fit the crime. Do not force your children to live in sheds or take away all their privileges for first-time offenses or, any of that things. And also don't teach your kids to dig holes in other people's yards.
Yeah. Just send them to the salt mines. It'll make everything
No.
much easier. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.